All right, today's ski technique lesson is on a technique called energy storage, roll and release. We'll get to that shortly, but before we do that, I want to just cover something in the last lesson I gave. Recall the last lesson was initiate turns using the tip of the inside ski, how that will pull you into the turn quickly and cleanly. It'll be kind of like a form of controlled inside ski blow up, which just rips you into the turn. And one thing I want to mention is a warning that if you start using this technique, you have to be careful and recalibrate your technique because this can pull you into the turn quicker than you think and it could cause you to end up straddling some gates. All right, you have to be careful to get a good feel for what it's going to do. All right, now on to today's lesson, energy store, roll and release. All right. So this is a technique that I developed way back in the early 1990s when I was using these old, long giant slalom skis or straight skis. Boy, they're long, 7-foot skis, and they're pretty much straight. They're Rossignol 1985 Rossignol giant slalom skis. White skis, I think they're called G3s. Anyways, so the idea was to capture energy in the tips of the ski and then progressively roll that potential energy through the ski from the tips to the waist, then out the tails. And when it reaches the tails, it literally springboards you into the air, propelling you forward and up. Right now, for a long time, I skied a pair of 1985 Rossignol giant slalom skis, and I skied quite a bit, and I got to feel the gain a feel for the entire length of the ski like it was part of my body, right? You just control the entire length of the ski, going tips, and you sense and feel where the flex is at. Now, I would leave if you get on the chairlift and look at your tracks below. I would leave clean little arcs like this. There'd be a path like this, nothing in between because I was off the snow. A clean arc, like a 3-foot arc, maybe 4 foot. All right. So I'm skiing a 7-foot ski within a 3 or 4 foot arc cleanly, right? Just like a razor slice, right? Just arc, arc, arc. Now, you don't want to ski that way today. I mean, yeah, there's too much air time, too much hang time, right? It's going to be slow, right? This needed more counter rotation back then, which I didn't have back then. Not enough, anyways. All right, so I was able to ski the entire 7-foot length of the ski within a clean 3-foot slice of snow. Snow disturbance was minimal with little energy loss. I did so by going in with a tip pressure and then smoothly and progressively ski the entire length of the ski to that same point, basically exiting out of the tails. Thus, the flex of the ski would start at the tips, then smoothly roll to the waist and then to the tails, right? Energy would then be released. So basically, you store kinetic energy as potential energy, redirect it, then release it. So you maintain, you conserve that kinetic energy, you conserve that speed, right? So the main underlying principles involved here, the key idea is energy management. Remember that we said that the fundamental concept you have to understand in ski racing is managing energy. The different types of energy, how to conserve energy, how to prevent from dissipating that energy as waste energies. And in this case, you maximize the retention of kinetic energy of the skier. The goal here is to lower kinetic energy during the turn by storing it temporarily as potential energy in the flex ski. With lower kinetic energy in the turn, you stand less risk of breaking ice bonds, throwing snow, skidding, right, scraping friction, right, all of which bleeds energy and slows you down, right? So you slow down during a turn and then you speed up again after you exit a turn and the energy is released out the tails of the skis. The key to energy storage roll release is precise control of forward or shin and aft or calf pressure in the boots, right? This is accomplished through a combination of upper body and arm motion. I'll explain that over here. All right. The end result is retention and redirection of kinetic energy, resulting in faster speeds and quicker times. Right. Now I forgot to show you this. I wanted to show you a video showing you the energy that's involved. This is improper use of the energy, but it shows that energy nonetheless. So this is skiers getting flipped on their back from improper use of the rebound energy. They're using it properly because their chests is chasing their ski tips, right? They don't have counter rotation. All right, so watch this guy. He gets dumped, right? Watch this guy. Oh, he gets thrown on his back. Shot in the air. Almost misses the gate. Misses the gate there. Thrown, tossed, and misses the gate. Wiped out. Tossed on their back. So there's energy there, right? That's the rebound energy in the skis. Now, this is about using that properly. Instead of tossing you, this is how you use it to increase your speed. All right, so let's see here. The end result is retention and redirection of kinetic energy, resulting in faster speeds and quicker times. All right. Energy storage roll and release technique is more applicable to slalom and giant slalom. Right. It has less utility for the speed events, Super G and downhill, because at those high speeds, typically in most turns, your skis are flopping around, they're chattering, they're popping around, right? Which means you cannot retain consistent stored energy in the flex of this ski. It's losing that flex as it bounces around, right? So don't even, I think for the most part, don't even try to use this technique in Super G and downhill. It's not going to help you, right? It may make you unstable, actually. The best thing is to focus on maximizing the distribution of force application along the full length of the ski. So I'm going to show you a video that shows what I'm talking about here. Let's see here. Let's see. Ski chatter. There you go. That's what I'm talking about here. All right. So this is Laura Goot, and I picked this because she just won the last downhill race. Right? She's using great technique. She is applying force pretty much evenly along both skis, maybe a little more on the downhill ski, which is good. Right? She's got good hip angulation. She's got some rotation. Her chest is going out, right? So she's not. Looks like she's outriggering a little bit, but she's not loading up that inside ski, right? She's got counter rotation and she's got hip angulation. With hip angulation and no counter rotation, she's going to load up all her weight on that inside ski, and she can risk inside ski blowout, right? But her technique is good here. But watch both skis, even with good technique. Watch them, look at them bounce around, flop around, right? Both skis, right? You can't maintain a constant flex. If you can't maintain a constant flex, that means you're not storing energy in a flex ski like a spring. It's popping out. You're losing that energy. So you're dissipating that energy. You can't retain it. So the best you can do is, just maximize the distribution of force application along the entire length of the ski to try to minimize exceeding shear force and breaking ice bonds and throwing snow. All right. Where are we? Okay. So again, it's primarily for slalom and giant slalom, this method, right? So how to perform it? Well, it depends upon whether you're doing slalom or giant slalom, because there's a little bit of different emphasis. So the key to energy store, roll, and release is controlling forward, which is shin, and back, which is calf pressure, okay, in your ski boot. This can be done with a combination of upper body and arm motion, right? Now, it is quicker to move the arms. It's also more measured, right, and more controlled. But anyways, it's quicker to move the arms than the upper body. I mean, moving the upper body, you have to do like a crunch, right, or like a back flex, right, and thus more emphasis it's more emphasized in slalom, right. So you emphasize arm motion more in slalom because it's quicker, and in slalom you have turns that come quicker. They come pretty fast and furious. All right, so the idea is as you're approaching the gate, you want to push the outside, which is the blocking hand, forward and low to block the gate. Now, how low you want to push it depends upon a number of things, one of which is the steepness of the terrain you're on in making a turn. If you're on like a steep fall away, right, and you got to get those tips down, right? So you want to really try to get forward, lean over that hill, right? Get your tips forward, get your tips contacting, and that may require that you push your blocking hand lower, right, to help you get more forward pressure. Also, if you have a wide gate set going to the next gate, you may want to try to store more energy, right? And to store more energy, you flex the tips more. You push it hand down more. You flex the tips more. Remember, we said that the opposite is a high hand block, and you're not going to engage the tips. You end up skidding around, washing out your tails. All right. So when you're thinking of this, though, keep in mind this: don't get greedy. Right? Remember we said up here when you're using tips to initiate the turn, right? You can store energy, but don't get greedy thinking that's going to make you faster. If you try to store too much energy, what ends up happening is those ski tips, the shovel becomes literally like a plow, and you start shoving snow, pushing snow, breaking ice bonds, and you slow down, right? It's going to be like a brake. So don't get too greedy. Try to get a feel for the proper amount of energy you can store, all right? It takes a lot of practice, and you'll build some muscle memory. All right. So where are we at, huh? So now, if you push it outside hand forward and low to block the gate, this will drive your shoulder forward and thus your chest, right, to help create shin pressure. So your arm motion is working in conjunction with your body motion, right? But really, the focus is on the arms here, right? Because that's going to drive your upper body with slalom. Then flick, once you block the gate, once you come out of the turn, then flick it out and back. I'll actually write that. Once you complete the turn, flick out and back and up a little and with a roll wrist. And I'll show you this in a second. This will progressively pull back the shoulder and roll pressure from the shins to the calves. Right? Hand motion gives a more measured control of forward back lean for pressure than trying to use your upper body. All right. So let me show you a video here. I'll show you some turns, what I'm talking about. Okay. All right, this is Marcel Hirscher, top skier for 8 years straight. So watch his hand. He's going to get a low block there, going in low, right? It helps you get more tip pressure, all right? He's going to, again, remember we talked about the method of engaging the tip of the inside ski first. He's going to do that. His upper body is directed towards that tip, all right? And now he blocks the gate. You see how he's got good tip pressure? See that inside ski? What the hell is it? Get this out of here. Why is it not getting out of here? All right, see how the inside ski is pulling up, creating separation here because it's initiating first. But remember we said that centripetal force is going to drive his legs this way, his upper body center of mass. The inertia wants to keep going this way. It's going to create a lever arm that's going to throw his weight. His legs are going to go this way. His upper body is going to go this way, and he's going to throw his weight through a torque type lever action onto his outside ski, which is where you want it. But initiating the turn with the tip of the inside ski will rip you into that turn fast, somewhat like a controlled inside ski blow up. All right. Now watch what he does with his outside arm. He's going to pull it back. As he pulls it back, it's going to pull his shoulder back. That's going to lift his chest. That's going to rotate the force application in his boots from the tongues up front to the backs. So he's going to go from shin pressure to calf pressure. And look at how the pressure contact point goes from tips to waists to tails. And then he'll be, shoot, let's see, he'll be shot out. All right. Okay, watch his hand position. He's going to get a low block here. Helps you get some tip pressure here. Right? See that separation developing. He's getting that inside tip going. All right. And now he's gonna whip his hand out, back, and a little bit up. At the same time, he's gonna roll this wrist so the ski pole was about here. He's gonna roll it so the ski pole tip drops down. You can tap the snow. If you want to make a hard rotation with your lower body, you can do a hard pole plant to plant and stabilize the upper body to allow rotation of the lower body. It just facilitates rotation of the lower body. It's almost like generating counter rotation in your upper body. All right, so he pulls it back high there, right? That lifts the shoulder and it shoots him out of his tails. Now, he's not getting tossed on his back because with counter rotation, the rebound is throwing his legs laterally across, which is setting up for the next turn. That's in fact what you want. You want your legs to go this way to the side to get around the gate easier. So yeah, that's what he's doing. All right, let's see what else is going on here. All right, again going in with tip pressure, coming out on his tails. How do I get rid of this? Oh yeah, okay. All right. All right, going in with his tips. Right, this time he's going in with both tips about evenly. All right. He's got a lot of edge angle here, and blocking the gate. Watch him throw his. See him rotate. He's got a wrist roll, right? And it's dropping that ski pole tip. He can tap the snow, or like I said, if you really want to torque around, and usually they don't need to torque around that hard in a race. They don't set the gates that hard. But you can. I mean, I do that for fun every now and then. I'll throw in a real hard turn where you slam down a hard pole plant. You can even angle your pole tip forward. When you plant it, that'll torque you around, right? Allow your upper body to rotate around that. And let's see here. Comes out on his tails. You see how that lifts his shoulder, pulls back his shoulder, which lifts his chest, which shifts pressure to the backs, right? And he comes out on the tails. Now the key is you progressively roll that flex. You flex that ski, you hold that flex, right? The max flex point rolls back from the tips throughout the waist. Then when it exits the tails, it'll shoot you in the air like a springboard, right? You'll have conserved that energy, saved that energy, and redirected it towards the next gate. That's far better than skidding through a turn in which you just waste energy, dissipate energy throughout the whole turn as you skid. All right, going in, low hand lock, fairly low. Not a big arm throw because it's a short turn. You see how you go with a short turn, you don't need a big throw. Here's a pretty big throw. The wider it is, you go. All right, watch him go in. As he goes forward, as the hand goes down, he goes forward, right? As the arm comes back, his chest lifts up, gets on his tails, right? Shoots him out. But the key is you got to get counter rotation or it's going to throw you on your back. See how he's getting tossed laterally? That's exactly what you want. Okay, let's see here. All right. Let's see here. I can't remember what I've done so far. Tip pressure will flex the shovel of the ski, right, helping to initiate the turn while at the same time storing energy in the ski. Speed will decrease while energy is being stored as potential energy. Now, that slower speed is good because it'll help prevent you exceeding shear force if you're going slower. in which you then break ice bonds and then you throw snow and you bleed energy. Okay, or it'll help you prevent you from skidding because you're going slower. Also recall all the advantages of initiating the turn with the tip of the inside ski. I gave you about a half dozen advantages. Um, Now, as the wrist is rolled back, out, and up, pressure will roll from the tips to the waist to the ski, so that max flex point will shift back. When that flex point reaches the tails will snap back like a diver's springboard, right? It'll throw the legs laterally if you have counter rotation, which facilitates a transition to the next turn because you want those legs flying across to get outside to the next turn, right? Remember, you want to keep your upper body low, but you want those legs flying across where you shoot them out, right? Well, this helps throw them across to the other side. Now, if you don't have enough counter rotation, what's going to happen is going to flip you on your back. And I was going to show you some videos of that real quick, just as a reminder. All right. So this is what happens when you get a lot of rebound. Oh, let me see. It's probably going. Yeah. So you get a lot of rebound energy out of your skis, but you don't have counter rotation. Therefore, your chest is chasing your ski tips. When it pops you out, it's just going to flip you up in the air. It'll shoot your skis forward, and it'll flip you up. Best case, it'll just toss you up in the air, and you'll waste time with float time. Worst case, you get tossed like that. Right? His chest is chasing his ski tips. That's why that happened. Right? No counter rotation. Again, chest chasing ski tips. Look at that. Chest right following ski tips. The rebound's going to toss him. Right? Reezy does it here. Okay. She'll watch this. Chest chases ski tips. When it's shot out, she shot up in the air. She almost missed that gate. Slowed her down. Here's Ted Liggety. He gets tossed. All right. Okay. Right now his chest is chasing his ski tips, so he gets tossed. Let's see here. Who's coming next? I think it's Michaela. All right, she gets tossed there. So watch. She rotates her upper body, right? Chest chasing ski tips. Rebound tosses her past that gate, so she misses the gate. Has to come around, slow down. So watch. This is her whole race. Look at the whole race. How this is like 2012 or so, and she's still doing this. Almost washes out her lower ski there. All right. She's rotating her upper body. That's old school. This is new school, but she got sloppy at the end. I really like this girl's technique, but she's throwing some sloppy turns, and that did it. Chest chase a ski tip. Got tossed, dumped. She was winning by well over a second. All right, with only 2 gates left, and that happens. All right. All right. I think next is Bodie. Bodie gets 1 turn, then the second turn he gets tossed. Again, look at so he rotated his upper body, chest chasing ski tips. The rebound throws him on his back. Shoots the legs forward, throws him on his back. All right. Now this is more modern. Look at how chest is locked directly downhill. Lower body rotating around it. That's giving counter rotation. When you get counter rotation, that rebound throws the legs laterally, setting him up for the next turn. Watch, throw it aside, throw it aside, throw it aside. See that lateral thrown laterally? All right. Rebound each turn, but it's thrown laterally. Tips come out tails, but it's thrown across. All right. That's because you have counter rotation. So this is that girl that got dumped. Boy, I like her technique. That's just beautiful, right? Look at that rebound, toss laterally, right? Look at how stable her upper body is. It's barely moving, right? Everything in the lower body. Rotation, motion across, lateral motion, right? I'm surprised she's not winning more. She's just, I think, choking a little bit, maybe. Okay. Where are we at here? Okay. Now, with rebound, kinetic energy is restored and thus retained for the skier Plus, advantage, it's redirected. So you're going, let's say you're going this way, right? You slow down during a turn, and it's released. You speed up. That kinetic energy is restored, but it's redirected, right? Slow down in a turn, right? Shot out, released in a new direction, all right? Now, a low block will help. The advantage of a low block not only will we store more energy, but it also helps with hip angulation. So it helps drive down the hip with that hand pushing down. You know, it's almost like that hand's pushing down the hip, which raises the upper body center of mass to create the lever arm. Now the arm throw back creates counter torque to stabilize the upper body. Not only does that pull back your shoulder and raise your chest, but it also helps create like a counter torque, which facilitates rotation of the lower body around the stable, chest locked downhill upper body, which facilitates lower body rotation for turns. H2, do I have that? I can't remember where in this video. This is Marcel again. Let's see this. So that arm what just happened here? I don't want that. That's what I want. What's going on here? That arm going back helps facilitate the rotation. It's kind of like a counter rotation for the counter rotating lower body. So this arm going back helps you rotate the skis the other way. With a stable upper body. All right. All right. So now for even more counter rotation effect, you can throw down a hard pole plant. Remember I said that you're rolling the wrist. As you're rolling the wrist, the ski pole, which is out close to horizontal, the ski pole tip will come down. Now, you can roll your wrist hard and do a hard pole plant. You could even angle the ski pole tip forward. Let's see if I got an example here. What am I doing here? Okay, see how he's blocking it? His ski pole is almost horizontal, and when he starts pulling it back, he's going to roll the wrist. That ski pole tip's going to drop to the snow. Right, you see that? He's rolling his wrist. When he drops it to the snow, if you aim this ski pole tip forward a little bit, right, you can jam a hard pole plant that's going to just lock your shoulders, like in cement there, and it's going to allow harder rotation around it. And you can throw a real hard, almost like you ever see surfers rip turns like on the top of a wave, how they just really rip it around. You can do ski turns like that if you get a hard pole plant. He doesn't really do it that much. I mean, I've seen Marcel do. He does everything, right? I've seen him make really hard turns like that. All right. So for even more counter rotation effect, throw down a hard pole plant, especially with the pole tip angled forward. Right. Now rolling the wrist both lifts and pulls back the shoulder. So as you roll the wrist, that actually helps you lift that shoulder. Roll back, you pull back that shoulder. So you can try it. Right. Go in with your hand forward, palm down, and then as you pull it back into the side, roll your wrist so your palm is facing forward. You see how that pulls your shoulder back more? All right. And what that does is it'll pull your chest back, lift your chest, and it'll shift weight back a little bit more. All right. Or you can do a hard pole plant to get a lot lower body rotation to redirect the skis for the next turn. This will depend upon the gate setting required. I mean, you rarely see the need for this in ski races. They're not going to throw in these radical turns, but I tell you, you can really whip those skis around if you want to, like a surfer ripping a turn. As you approach the next turn, the inside hand will push forward and lower to become the new outside hand. Now, though the hand, and arms shift positions, right? You must keep in mind that you got to keep your chest locked downhill. Don't let this rotate your chest, right? For slalom, the turns are coming so fast and furious. We'll just keep that chest locked downhill and rotate the lower body around that. All right. And that's different from Super G or downhill and GS, in which you can rotate the upper body. All right. So in GS, doing energy storage, roll, and release is a little different from slalom, largely due to the different ways of generating counter rotation. Now in slalom, the upper body is locked facing downhill. In GS, the upper body is twisted so that the upper body is facing the outside, and do that by pulling back the outside shoulder. And there's a number of means of doing that. One is pulling back that outside arm back and low, right? Another is, like for example, if you're in a downhill tuck, you can still pull back that outside elbow, and that'll help swivel your head and shoulders towards the outside, right? Which will give you counter rotation. I mean, you're going to get, it's less pronounced than in GS or slalom, but you're going to get some. It's going to help your skiing. It'll pull those skis closer together, right? Another method is you can use bullhorns, right? So in bullhorns, you have your arms a little bit forward and a little bit wide. Now, having them wide creates a lever arm, and you can use that to twist around, torque your upper body to the outside. And really, it's pushing the inside arm forward as you pull the outside arm back. So as you rotate, you really think of a big steering wheel, right? Like a steering wheel of a truck, right? You're just rotating that, right? And it's rotating the inside arm forward as it pulls the outside arm back. Remember, try to keep your shoulders level to the horizon though as you do that. All right, otherwise you can lose hip angulation. From the counter-rotated GS position, your upper body's facing either the 10 o'clock for a right turn or 2 o'clock for a left turn. If you bow at the waist, this will not only raise your upper body center of mass, it will also push your weight forward, your mass forward, and it'll help create forward pressure. Now, so that's how you do it in GS. The emphasis is more on moving the upper body, right? In slalom, the emphasis is on arms. Arms move the upper body, but in GS, the main emphasis is just jamming that upper body, getting it forward. All right. Yeah. So, and now as you approach the gate, you can swing that outside arm forward to start to transition to the new turn. All right. But as you do this, do not lose that counter rotation. Keep that upper body twisted to the outside. All right. In transition, the body rises. Okay, so that's how you get back pressure. As you're transitioning, the upper body rises upright, shifting pressure to the tails, which releases the stored energy for rebound. Let me try to show you. I'll show you Marcel. Yeah, GS. So he's going in. I think he should have his shoulders more level. All right. Now, he's bringing that outside arm forward. Look at that. He's maintaining counter rotation. And it's pulling it back again there. All right. All right. So he maintains counter rotation. Right. And then in transition, he comes more upright. Right. That's shifting weight towards the tails. Then he's setting up the next turn. He's pulling back that outside arm, back and low. That's where you want it, right? It's going to pull his outside shoulder back. It's going to rotate so his chest is facing the 10 o'clock position for a right turn here. He's going to face out. He's going to get slip and slide. And watch when he approaches that gate. He does a bow at the waist, all right? A bow towards that 10 o'clock. Now, that lifts his upper body center of mass to get weight on that outside ski. right? It also gets weight forward onto the tips to store energy, to flex them. Now, you know, GS is pretty high speed, but you can maintain that flex. See that flex? It's consistent, right? See, right? So that's stored energy in that ski right now. It popped around there a little bit. All right, now it's gripping. There we go. See that grip, right? Now, as he comes out, he's going to become more upright, and that stored energy in the flex is going to be shot out of the tails. This is not that good of an example of it. So he's coming upright, and energy is released out of the tails. Going into the new turn, you see how he's doing the bullfighter, or then the bullhorns. He's rotating his outside shoulder back as he's rotating his inside shoulder forward. That's a big steering wheel. That gives you leverage, right, to rotate around. Right. Also, I use this for that leverage, but I also use it to keep my shoulders level with the horizon to get hip angulation. Right. Notice how he's engaging the tip of his inside ski first. As he comes through, he gets everything forward. He bows, right? Gets his arms forward, right? And he still has counter rotation, right? So the flex is about right here. It's about right at the end of his boots. It's not quite at the tails yet. But when he comes up, it's being shot out of the tails, and it's going to shoot him this way. All right, bullhorns again. This must have been in the last couple years, because they went more to bullhorns instead of really throwing it back. All right, coming up. Weight shifting to the tails. Counter rotation building. See that? Getting forward. See those tips grip? See how the inside tip grips more? Yeah, with that inside tip gripping more, don't worry about it. As long as you have counter rotation, what's going to happen is the lever arm that's created by the opposition, the centripetal force coming in through the ski boots, through your legs, right, with the upper body center of mass inertia, right, that'll immediately roll you onto that outer ski, right? So you'll be only momentarily on the inside ski. Again, see that inside tip pull in, right? And then his weight shifts onto that outside ski. See that? Right? That's okay. Now, if you don't have counter rotation, that's going to cause you to outrigger. And when that, all that weight's going to be centered over that inside ski, when that tip grips, it's going to rip you around, bash it into your chin, and throw you in a 360. Right, he didn't have a lot of counter rotation there, and he leaned in. That was a poor turn. All right, counter rotation. Look at that arm pulled back, right? And then as he comes to the gate, he goes forward, right? See that forward pressure, forward lean, right? Bowing towards that 10 o'clock position, right? Then coming up, that's rolling energy to the tails. All right. All right, so now for Super G and downhill, you're basically using the same technique to get counter rotation as GS, right? You're rotating the upper body, pulling back to the outside shoulder, and you do that with the methods I told you. Pull back the outside arm, back and low, or you can pull back the outside elbow, or you can use the bull horns to get leverage to rotate you to the outside, or you can focus on aiming your shoulder blade at the upcoming gate. All right. So yeah, you generate counter rotation the same way, twisting your body to the outside so that the upper body faces the 10 or 2 o'clock. From this counter rotated position, a bow at the waist will jackknife the body, raising the upper body center of mass and pushing it forward to apply forward pressure. However, keep in mind that it is difficult to store energy in the flex skis at the high speeds of Super G and downhill. So there's a premium on just maximizing the distribution of force application along the full length of both skis. All right. So the end result of this is you have retention of energy, which is then redirected, right? And so you conserve the kinetic energy of your body, right? You ski faster, you have faster times. All right. Okay, that's it for that lesson.